Are we on? We're on. It's Thank Me Later. You'll thank me later Thursday. I got news for you. If you have in the past have not received a 1099K because your income did not exceed $20,000, I have news for you. Those third party networks are reporting you to the IRS for any income that you've made above 100. So, it's pretty much the same as if you were a 1090, if you were receiving the 1099, which was the MISC miscellaneous, and later the non-employee compensation. If you receive a 1099 and it's above, your payments were above, your income was above $600, it's no longer the $20,000 threshold for 1099Ks. That threshold is now $600, much like the 1099 MISC and the 1099 non-employee compensation. And this is for individuals reporting transactions on payment cards using third-party networks. This includes eBay, PayPal, Venmo, Etsy, Stripe. If you're doing transactions using those third-party payment providers, those networks, your income is being reported to the IRS if it's above $600. That $20,000 threshold has gone away. So if you filed your taxes and you did not include that income, I suggest you go ahead and get with your tax preparer to amend your taxes to include that income. Otherwise, you'll be getting a bill from the alphabet people, the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. You'll be getting a bill from them soon. If you had expected a refund, they will in fact deduct that amount. You won't get a chance. You won't have a chance to do an amendment prior to that happening. So I suggest, if you haven't filed, make sure you include that income that was reported. Again, eBay, PayPal, Venmo, Etsy, Airbnb, Stripe. If you've used any of those third-party payment providers, those third-party payment providers have reported that income that you made above $600 to the IRS. The $20,000 threshold is history. So make sure you take care of that. Also, the IRS has issued the Dirty Dozen guidance. The Dirty Dozen, with this a list that they compile every year. And one thing I want to point out on that list is the IRS has warned people about these pop-up firms that are claiming they can do the employee retention credit. You want to go with a credible, reputable organization that will be around next year, and they haven't moved on to their next business. Of course, there are businesses that are legitimate. They can actually get the credit for you. However, be careful of organizations that have just popped up and they're telling you they can get this credit for you. Just, do your due diligence in checking on their history. Another thing the IRS is warning taxpayers about is, people that are fishing. It's tax season. So, the IRS, they're like I said, if they're sending you correspondence, it will be by post. And when I say post, I mean by the Postal Service for the most part. They rarely will email, if ever, a taxpayer. The only time I've ever received an email is when I was updating my my preparer identification number with them. But for the most part, the IRS mails everything, with the exception of like EIN. That is something that you can do, through artificial intelligence now. But again, they're not emailing you that information. You're doing that online. So it's really up to you as a taxpayer to do your due diligence again and sign up for an IRS online account. Go ahead and create your account and don't share that information with anyone. I've already gotten calls from individuals who can't file their returns because somebody else has already filed their returns for them. And so they have to go through a whole outside process that doesn't involve the IRS, and, because of the identity theft. So they have to go through that process before they can actually file their taxes, because somebody beat them to filing their own taxes, and it wasn't them; they weren't authorized. So I do suggest that you set up your IRS account, your online account. It's easy, it's simple. And when it comes time to do the ID me, I say get in some good lighting. For us brown and black people, get in some good lighting, make that process easier. I suggest you do it from a desktop or a laptop. I don't suggest doing it from a phone, but if you have to, just make sure you're in good lighting and you have a great Wi-Fi connection. Go ahead and set up your online IRS account. It is a great account to have. I always encourage people to be in communication with the IRS, and when there comes a need, you shouldn't be afraid of the IRS. They're not the big bad wolf. They're not dangerous. They're not monsters. However, they are the largest collection agency in the world. However, there are humans on the other side of the phone, the internet, or whatnot at the IRS. So I encourage you to set up your own IRS account. And when people make claims about tax credits that are too good to be true, know that they are too good to be true. Gone are those tax credits that everybody was getting during the pandemic, which was an effort to save the economy. Those credits are history. So avoid people that are saying that they can get this credit for you, which is the employee retention credit, the false fuel credit claims. That's a part of the dirty dozens that the IRS is warning people about. Just if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, but know that you are responsible once you allow somebody to use your social security number, and you are ultimately responsible unless you have a conversation with the FTC and the Federal Trade Commission and let them know that you have had your identity stolen. You are responsible. So just be careful. Don't share your personal information with just anybody. Make sure it's a reputable tax professional, a CPA, enrolled agent, and maybe even a tax attorney. So just wanted to share. Thank me later. This is your tax tip for today. Calculator. Thank you for joining.